Finish it quick then. I'd do the same for you.
There you are. What's wrong? Don't you recognize your own sister?
Teresa is the older sister of the hero of Oakvale, the two of which belonging to the ancient Archon bloodline. Teresa is known as the Blind Seer, who is gifted with prophetic powers, and by the end she is over 600 years of age, which makes her one of the oldest known living beings in Albion.
Teresa was born in the quiet family village of Oakvale, her father, Brom, being a simple woodsman, and her mother is the hero known as Scarlet Robe. As a young girl, playing in the fields, Teresa lived a pure and innocent life. Teresa began having strange dreams in her sleep, dreams that would ultimately evolve into prophetic visions. The dreams she would have would often become nightmarish, causing her to wake up her younger brother in the middle of the night, and her younger brother obviously being the hero of Oakvale in the first game.
On the eve of one of Teresa's childhood birthdays, she had a devastating dream that she could not remember, but would cause her life to change forever. In the morning, Teresa's brother had brought her some chocolates for her birthday. While the two stood together in the field, it becomes clear to Teresa that her latest dream was becoming a reality. Bandits had come and raided Oakvale and burnt the village to the ground. The leader, Jack of Blades, had located Teresa's home in an attempt to collect a missing artifact that belonged to her bloodline. Jack had slaughtered Brom, Teresa's father, and tortured and imprisoned her mother. Jack searched for Teresa's brother but could not locate him. And when Jack had questioned Teresa where her brother was, silent. So Jack pulled out his blade and unremorsefully cut out Teresa's eyes.
Left to die, Teresa had crawled through the woods while blood poured from her face. Teresa had crept for 3 days before a former hero turned bandit king named Twinblade discovered her. Twinblade tended to Teresa and allowed her to join his bandit crew. Twinblade became Teresa's mentor as he trained her to fight without her sight. Twinblade eventually discovered that Teresa was a seer due to her whispering prophetic truths in her sleep. Teresa had also discovered her exceptional powers of will. She proved valuable to Twinblade and successfully killed any who opposed either of them. Without mercy, Teresa alone killed a band of brigands that threatened the camp. Teresa became the second in command of the bandit camp from that point forward.
The hero of Oakvale sought out the bandit Seeress in order to find his sister. After believing Twinblade was behind the Oakvale attack, the hero had defeated him in a duel. Before the final strike, however, the hero discovers that the Seeress herself is, in fact, his lost sister, Teresa. After reuniting with her brother and unlocking hidden powers inside him, Teresa left her old mentor to whatever fate her brother had in store for him.
After the hero of Oakvale slew the White Balverine, the Knothole chief presented the hero with a book and a letter from Teresa. The book, titled The Bloodline, talks about the Old Kingdom and how the Archon used a sword of incredible power. Teresa's letter suggests that she and her brother are both descendants of this Archon, and their blood has the power to summon the sword. Once the hero of Oakvale succeeded in the arena and became the new Arena King, Teresa met him again at the Grey House. Teresa reveals to her brother that Jack of Blades was the one responsible for slaying their father and her loss of sight. Teresa shares that Jack is holding their mother in Bargate prison. Teresa also reminds her brother that Jack is after the Sword of Aeons, and he will be able to unlock it should he find the key. The hero eventually locates their mother, Scarlet, but Jack ends up holding them both captive within the prison. After a year, the two bust out to locate the septimal key in the old abbey in the region of Hook Coast. While Scarlet searches for Teresa, the hero goes to the Darkwood Cullis Gate to travel to Hook Coast.
Within the abbey, the wizard Maze becomes exposed as being a traitor. Maze holds Teresa captive and uses her powers to unlock the key. After Jack arrives, Maze then uses both Teresa and her brother to release the key for him. Afterwards, Teresa is eventually transported to the Chamber of Fate in the Heroes Guild. After Jack then activates the focus sites, he retreats into the Chamber of Fate, wherein the Sword of Aeons is waiting. Jack planned to kill all 3 remaining members of the bloodline so that the sword would reach maximum power. He slits Scarlet's throat, and her power absorbs into the sword as she takes her final breath. The battle between the hero of Oakvale and Jack of Blades then begins, whilst Teresa remains unconscious and trapped on the ground. The hero of Oakvale becomes triumphant and avenges his family by slaying the Jack of Blades. The hero then had a choice whether to kill his sister with the Sword of Aeons and gain the power Jack desired, or to dispatch the sword into the void where it shall be lost forever. It is important here also to say that due to the evil choice to be non-canon, so the good choice being canon, Teresa actually heads off to the mountains and was taken in by an old nomad will user from the east called Palgan. Palgan offered to take Teresa to his homeland in the Eastern Kingdom. When Teresa saw him try to steal her prophetic powers, she killed him and used his amulet to transport her to the east.
It is revealed in Fable the Journey that following the death of Jack of Blades, Teresa wandered the land, traveling through places like Myanmar before going east to the desert land of Samarkand. Staying there for centuries, Teresa learned of the tattered spire from the great libraries. After being absent for 500 years, Teresa makes her return to Albion in Fable 2. Teresa arrives in Bowerstone Old Town, where she listens to a trader offering to sell the Old Kingdom artifacts. Rose and Sparrow, two orphans who are living on the street, show interest in the music box. The music box would offer one wish to anyone just for 5 gold pieces. Rose comments that there is no such thing as magic. Teresa turns to them, saying it is a grim time should children no longer believe in magic. Teresa convinces the two to purchase the music box from the street vendor. The two wish to live in a castle like Fairfax. Bowerstone Manor Lucian Fairfax summoned the two orphans to the castle the night they made their wish. Lucian brought them to the castle only to kill them for being descendants of heroes. Rose died, but Sparrow had actually survived.
So after Rose's subsequent death, Teresa adopts her severely injured descendant Sparrow. Sparrow begins growing up in Bower Lake's gypsy camp with their dog, and I'm going to say his dog, even though I think that, you can be male or female. I think the more canon option was male in this game anyway. Teresa promised she would help the young hero avenge his sister's death. Once Sparrow becomes of age, Teresa grants the hero permission to leave the gypsy camp and sends them to the ruins of the hero's guild. Teresa bestows them with a guild shield and valuable equipment. Sparrow locates the Chamber of Fate in the guild and awakens his blood so that he may use the powers of will.
Teresa acts as the hero's mentor from here on out, while also communicating with them over the guild seal. After the defeat of the Bower Lake bandit Thug, Sparrow becomes the hero of Bower Lake. Teresa explains to the new hero why Lucian killed their sister. Lucian had found documents that foretold of a fourth hero who would soil his plans to reconstruct the Old Kingdom's tattered spire. Teresa presents the hero with fate cards, which gives glimpse into the future and a hidden path to Lucian's downfall. Lucian needs the blood of the heroes of strength, skill, and will to complete the spire. The hero of Bower Lake must locate the heroes before Lucian does.
Through the hero's efforts, he recruits the pilgrim named Sister Hannah. Hannah, who is destined to be the hero of strength, is a monk at the Temple of Light in Oakfield. Teresa makes many comments on how the hero must break her of her pledge of pacifism. After Sister Hannah's adoptive father, the abbot, is killed by Lucian's men, Teresa makes an appearance and persuades Hannah to join the group. Sister Hannah asks Teresa to be called Hammer from then on. Teresa brings Hammer back to the abandoned Heroes Guild to explain her role in Lucian's downfall.
When the hero returns to the guild, Teresa reveals that a man named Garth was at Castle Fairfax the night Rose was killed. Teresa believes that Garth is the mage who would be the hero of Will. Teresa explains that the relationship between Lucian and Garth and how their research together ended violently. While Teresa orders Hammer to stay behind, the hero goes to Brightwood Tower to recruit Garth. Upon the hero's entry into Brightwood, Teresa warns them of someone or something that is coming their way. Teresa states that she has never felt anything like it. As the hero continues, Brightwood Tower becomes sieged by Spire guards. Garth is captured and taken to the Spire by Lucian's commandant.
Teresa redirects the hero to Bowerstone's pub to find Jeeves, Lucian's former butler. Of course. Teresa continues to restrain Hammer from leaving the guild for the time being. After giving Jeeves 1,000 gold pieces, he provides the hero with a map to Lucian's buried diary. The diary, however, is written in Old Kingdom text and can only be translated by Teresa, who is blind. Though she is blind, Teresa can read Lucian's diary to acquire information on gaining entry into the Spire. When asked how she can read without eyesight, Teresa claims she can look into worlds other than her own, which is not an answer. Thank you very much. From the diary, Teresa does discover that Lucian is recruiting Crucible champions as guards for the Spire. Teresa directs the hero and Hammer to Westcliff so that Sparrow might become Crucible champion. The hero becomes successful within the Crucible, earning him admission into the Spire.
When the hero returns from the Spire, Teresa welcomes them back after being gone 10 years. Teresa then welcomes Garth and asks him to join them to end Lucian's plan. Garth agrees, and the two retreat to the guild while the hero catches up with Hammer. Upon the homecoming with Hammer, she mentions that it was hard to give up hope due to Teresa whispering in her head about foreseeing Sparrow's safe return. Hammer stated there were a few times she wanted to smack Teresa.
That would have been great. Teresa, the hero, Hammer, and Garth discuss how to access the Thief, who is the third and final hero of skill. Hammer mentions that this hero is likely a pirate called Reaver, who runs the port of Bloodstone. Teresa states that Bloodstone is surrounded by a dangerous swamp called Wraith Marsh on 3 sides, and the ocean on the 4th. This would force the heroes to travel through Wraith Marsh to reach Bloodstone. I don't know why, they can't just take a boat, but okay. Garth suggests using a Cullis Gate to bypass the journey to Wraith Marsh back at his tower. However, Teresa warns him that Brightwood Tower is still heavily guarded by Lucian's men. The newly activated Cullis Gate malfunctioned, causing Hammer and Garth to separate from the hero and his dog. This causes the hero to search for Reaver without the other two. The fog from Wraithmarsh temporarily dampened the guild seal, which made it difficult even for Teresa to give her instructions.
Upon the hero's first entrance into Wraithmarsh, Teresa mentions this used to be Oakvale, though it has changed radically since I last saw it. And that was a long time ago. And she mentions a reckless young villager made a deal with the forces of Shadow, causing the destruction of Oakvale a second and final time. She states that the marshes have engulfed the village, leaving Oakvale nothing but a bitter memory. Once the hero reaches Bloodstone, Reaver untruthfully agrees to join the hero to take down Lucian. However, Reaver needs the hero to take his dark seal to a place called the Shadow Court in Wraithmarsh. Teresa informs the hero through the guild seal that the Shadow Court is responsible for the destruction of Oakvale. Teresa adds that there is more to the task than Reaver is letting on.
After uncovering the truth of Reaver's betrayal, Bloodstone comes under attack by Lucian's forces, and the hero and Reaver flee the town together. After the two meet up with Hammer and Garth on the Smuggler's Beach, the 4 of them defeat the Great Shard. Teresa finally appears on the beach and persuades Reaver to join them.
Finally assembled the 4 heroes, Teresa gives them the instructions on how to begin the ritual to summon the Great Weapon. After the ceremony is complete, Teresa disappears and Lucian arrives and takes the 3 heroes to the spire. At the top of the spire, the hero of Bower Lake confronts Lucian and subsequently kills him. Teresa arrives and allows the hero to claim Lucian's wish. As Teresa stated in the fate cards, the choice would come. Teresa offered 3 choices: sacrifice, love, or wealth. Regardless of the hero's choice, the group says their goodbyes, and Teresa sends them to wherever they want in the world. Once the 3 heroes are sent away, Teresa claims the completed spire for herself, and she says her goodbyes to the hero of Bower Lake.
So in the See the Future DLC, the hero of Bower Lake receives a model of the spire from Murgo the trader. Using the model, the hero returns to the top of the spire. The hero stands before Teresa, where she now controls the completed spire. She can be seen reviewing magical threads that hold visions of the future. With the spire at her command, Teresa can now see all possible futures.
Teresa greeted the hero and stated that the spire had a gift for her too, as the future has always whispered to her. Teresa presents the hero a glimpse of their own future, showing the hero as the monarch of Albion, with a loyal army and citizenry. Towards the end of the vision, the focus turned to a baby carriage, with Teresa standing next to it. A newborn lay inside, and Teresa mentioned the fate of Albion and Aurora before the vision ended. Afterward, Teresa sent the hero away from the spire for the last time. When the hero returned to the land, Mergo revealed that Teresa was the source who provided all the magical items for him to sell. So obviously she set up the entire game basically with the
Pulling
music
strings.
box. Yeah.
So 50 years after the events of Fable 2, Teresa offered her guidance to the youngest child of the late hero of Bower Lake. Teresa still resides in the Tattered Spire, but makes an appearance in the realm known as the Road to Rule. It is here that she guides the young hero of Brightwall to begin the Albion Revolution and overthrow his or her tyrant brother, Logan. After the hero of Brightwall retrieves the Guild Seal, he or she teleports to the Road to Rule. This realm seems to be in a time of its own, which doesn't affect time in the real world. When the hero first arrives, Teresa appears before them, introducing herself as the Seer of the Spire. Teresa continues by saying she aided the hero's father/mother during their greatest triumph. As always, the Seer is an elusive woman, elusive man, telling the hero only the basics of what they need to know. Teresa explains the Road to Rule and how it represents the path the hero was born to take. At the end of the road is the kingdom they were born to rule. Teresa explains how the hero must gather followers and win over the support of the people. And each time the hero succeeds a new milestone in their journey, Teresa returns to offer advice. She makes many references that Albion is in danger with Logan on the throne.
After the hero of Brightwall takes the throne, Logan states that Teresa visited him after his return from Aurora. Teresa showed Logan the terrible danger that is coming for Albion and will ultimately destroy it. Only after Logan's trial of fate does Teresa finally reveal the truth to the hero of Brightwall. Teresa shows the hero the future of the Darkness's attack. Teresa stressed the fact that only a hero wearing the crown could ensure Albion's survival. With the pressure of having only 1 year to prepare, Teresa explains the two choices the hero could make. The first being a benevolent ruler and spending the kingdom's gold to keep the promises that they have made. Keeping the promises would cause the hero to rely on personal wealth for Albion's safety. The alternative would be to become a tyrant just like Logan and break the promises that they had made. This choice would ensure the safety of the citizens but would cost the hero's morality and all of their allies. After a year, Teresa gives her final judgment before the coming attack. She tells the hero to do what they were born to do. During Sir Walter's recognition, Teresa pauses time and appears in the garden of Bowerstone Castle. She congratulates the hero on their triumph and explains what consequences or achievements they now face by keeping or breaking their promises. Before she leaves for the last time, the hero asks Teresa if the time has come for them to know their future. Teresa states the future will reveal itself when it is ready to do so. Time resumes and Teresa disappears.
So there's a short story written by, again, Peter David, and is told from Teresa's point of view, and it's called Teresa, or Fable Teresa. Teresa had arrived in a small town called Ravenbeak. Here she sought out to save a young seer named Anne. Arriving at the girl's home, Anne's mother Elizabeth greeted Teresa. Elizabeth had questioned Teresa's blindness and learnt that she was a seer. She shared one of her childhood stories of the Endless Walker, who was a blind seer who people claimed lived forever. In the back of the home, the young seer Anne was devastatingly ill. Anne was fighting her nightmarish dreams, which were ultimately visions of the future. The visions caused the girl to scream and have a substantial fever. Elizabeth begged Teresa to remove the visions. Teresa stated that she could not remove the gift of prophecy from Anne, but she knew of someone who could. Teresa searched for a hero to be her escort. She located a retired hero named Elijah Stain in the town pub. Elijah was full of guilt due to his failure to protect a young girl many years prior. She convinced the drunk to redeem himself and escort her to the mountains of Ravenwing. There she would be able to seek out the old sage named Raven and ask for his aid to cure Anne. When the two reached Ravenwing, they found old rocks covered by runes. The runes stated that they needed the blood of a hero, and although Elijah used his blood, he proved to be unsuccessful in triggering a response. Teresa, however, used Elijah's dagger and slit her palm to bleed on the runes. A doorway within the rocks opened, and the two proceeded to enter.
While in the cave, Teresa could hear the loud sound of insects, rodents, and the crackling sound of fire. At one moment, she could see with her eyes, which caused her to feel disoriented, for she had not had the sense of sight in a very long time. Elijah and Teresa encountered hollow men. Teresa attempted to take cover, hit something hard and passed out. Teresa began hearing a voice that she discovered to be Raven. Raven gave Teresa a vial with an antidote to remove the power of foresight from Anne. In return, Raven required Teresa's silence of the approaching events. Teresa awoke to find that she still had the vial in her pocket, but she was once again blinded and could no longer see with her eyes. Elijah guided Teresa to a natural bridge in which had another set of runes on the other side. Teresa stated that her sight beyond sight could show her a nest of rock mites was waiting for the two by the door. Teresa knew now that the price for Raven would be the life of Elijah Stain. Teresa knew that she had to stay silent as Elijah walked to his death. As the rock mites attacked and slew Elijah, he yelled out to Teresa, "You made the right choice, blind girl. I'd have traded me for the girl any day." Elijah was a hero redeemed, for his blood opened the door across the natural bridge. Teresa had returned to Anne and her mother and provided the antidote to remove Anne's powers. While Teresa received many thanks from the two, she could hear the sound of Raven laughing as she felt guilty. Elizabeth had asked where Elijah was so she may thank him. Teresa replied that she would pass along her thanks to him.
So in another short story, Fable, Edge of the World, Teresa makes a minor appearance at the very end. The King of Albion has a dream and Teresa appears before him. She holds her arms out and a dove lands on her right arm and a raven on her left. She then speaks, "Born a hero you were and a hero you are. Darkness has indeed come to Albion, and few there are and will yet be who can stand against it. But do not despair, King of Albion. The world has changed. The time approaches swiftly when heroes are not born, they are made." She then throws her arms up, causing the birds to vanish. The king awakens to find two feathers, one white, one black. The king then understands that his dream was actually a vision.
Her next appearance is in Fable the Journey. Several years after the events of Fable 3, an evil entity called the Corruptor slowly infects all of Albion. Being wounded by the Corruptor's lieutenant, the Devourer, Teresa was forced to evacuate the tattered spire. Apprehensively running through a dark forest, Teresa encounters a young dweller driving his horse and carriage. She pleads for his help, though he attempts to abandon her due to the terrifying sound coming from the woods. Teresa calls out the dweller by his first name, Gabriel, and he reluctantly agrees to return and guide her back to his caravan. Teresa instructs the dweller to drive quickly toward the light to escape the Devourer. She warns Gabriel that anything the creatures consume will become corrupted with evil. Once they have escaped, Gabriel notices his horse, Seren, has a dark fragment in her right hip. Gabriel removed the splinter that caused Seren's discomfort. Gabriel asks Teresa how she knew his name. Teresa reveals herself as a seer, but also alerts Gabriel that his horse is now infected and will not survive. She informs him that he can heal his horse at a nearby cave known as the Spirit Chambers. Teresa warns Gabriel that saving Seren will come at a price. Out of desperation, Gabriel accepts the risk anyway.
Inside the chambers lies the Pool of Sight. Teresa tells about the three heroes guarding the pool. Sol, the hero of light, Blaze, the hero of fire, and Stone, the hero of the fallen. Long ago, these heroes sacrificed themselves to save Albion. The pool grants Gabriel a devastating vision, but also awards him the gauntlets. Once Gabriel saves Seren's life, he accuses Teresa of tricking him, for the gauntlets are now part of him. Teresa promises to remove the gauntlets if Gabriel can retrieve the first willstone from a nearby temple. Gabriel agrees, and the two head off. The relationship between the dweller and the seer starts rough. Teresa begins to share with Gabriel about her past and her motives, something which she's never done before. Teresa shares that she has been Albion's overseer for 500 years. It has been her duty and not a choice. She states that she is the last of the hero bloodline and all that remains of the old order. She also mentioned that she has seen 1,000 strands of possibilities as she stands at the peripheral of this world. The two seek shelter from a man named Fergus. Fergus agrees to help them get to the temple. Teresa begins to grow weaker as the night goes on, and there is even a moment where she moans as she feels her wounds start to worsen.
Gabriel gets offended that Teresa acknowledges him as a hero and states he was not born with powers like her. Teresa explains that it may be hard to believe, but she was not born the way she is now either. Teresa shares how she was once a daughter and a sister. Teresa goes into detail on how her village was burnt to the ground when she was young. Her father murdered and her mother dragged away was the last thing she saw before the abomination, Jack of Blades, sliced out her eyes. Teresa reminisces on how Twinblade found her barely alive and how she joined his bandit crew. Twinblade protected her, but as she got older, she discovered her powers, and she ended up protecting him. Afterward, Fergus and Gabriel traveled to the temple to collect the Willstone. Following the death of Fergus, Gabriel defeated the Devourer. Teresa honors her promise and attempts to remove the gauntlets. Gabriel changes his mind and agrees to accept the responsibility to save Albion. Teresa and Gabriel set off to find the next Willstone. Teresa shares with Gabriel how she traveled to the east after Jack of Blades' death. She spent centuries studying in the great libraries of Samarkand. It is here she learned of the Spire and how it may assist her in preventing anyone from suffering her fate again.
Teresa discusses how the Corruptor came to be. The Corruptor is a piece of the tainted soul of the first Archon, William Black. William became infected with corruption during his time in the Void. Black was able to cast the dark spirit out of himself and seal it within the Void. However, over time, that demented spirit grew and continuously tried to re-enter the world to reclaim the throne. Teresa also mentioned the Corruptor's lieutenants, the Devourer, and the Temptress. The third lieutenant was the Crawler, but the three heroes sealed the Crawler beneath the earth when it first emerged. Teresa claimed that once he purged his soul, William Black was unrecognizable from that point forward. I wonder what video you guys can watch on that. This caused the people of Albion to believe that the Archon vanished for good.
Almost definitely not true. Searching for the final Willstone, the two discovered a young farm girl named Betty. Betty seeks aid searching for her father after her convoy was attacked and killed by Hobbs. At nightfall, Betty becomes abducted by a dark creature and wails for help. Teresa begins to feel skeptical and believes that this is a ruse. Unexpectedly, they find Betty at the Prism, the temple that contains the final Willstone. Once Gabriel collects the Willstone, it is clear that Betty lured the Seer and the Dweller into a trap. Betty reveals herself as the Corruptor's bride, the Temptress. Teresa begins to lose hope, for she failed to see through the Temptress's disguise, as well as failed to foresee her arrival. The Temptress taunts Teresa, asking her if she can feel the corruption poisoning her soul, causing her to become truly blind. The Temptress throws Teresa up against a piece of rock, telling her that she failed. Gabriel actually defeats the Temptress's hypnosis trick, which ultimately downfalls the Temptress herself.
The two were confused and ashamed. Gabriel and Teresa sit by the fire quietly. Gabriel admits to Teresa that he started having feelings for Betty and apologized for putting both him and the Seer in danger. Teresa replies that it is easy to be driven by emotions. She shares one of her darkest secrets with Gabriel, as well as one of the most profound burdens. Learning of the tattered spire, Teresa resolved to have it rebuilt and use its power to protect Albion from evil. It was with this in mind that the blind seer finally returned home and sought out someone with the means to rebuild the spire. The mayor of Bowerstone, Lord Lucian Fairfax, had lost his daughter and wife Amelia and Helena Fairfax to a terrible virus. Don't mention that. Teresa used Lucian's grief and manipulated him into rebuilding the spire to resurrect his family. So Lucian's grief converted into obsession and passion, forcing him to enforce strict obedience to ensure the spire's completion. Lucian killed many innocent slaves within the spire that failed to follow his obedience. Lucian had also killed Sparrow's sister Rose due to her heroic bloodline being a threat to the reconstruction. Teresa once again used Sparrow's grief to overthrow Lucian once he completed the spire. Teresa was ultimately responsible for all the innocent deaths, which in turn awoke the Corruptor from his slumber. Once she claimed the spire, Teresa had shed tears when she realized the real cost of her plan. Teresa closes her story by saying she will always bear the burden, but their deaths showed her without sacrifice there can be no victory.
The final objective for the Dweller and the Seer was to reach the Spire. The Spire is where Gabriel could confront the Corruptor and seal the rift leading into the Void. Teresa conveys the story of the three heroes and how Soul, Blaze, and Stone attempt to seal the rift and that the first Spire had created. The rift was a tear in the fabric between Albion and the Void. On the night before the Corruptor's emergence, the heroes attempt to seal the rift by channeling their power into the Void. The combined power shattered the Spire and crystallized the heroes into Willstones, as well as devastated the Old Kingdom. Teresa confirms that the first wish of the spire did not cause the Old Kingdom's devastation, which she formerly had believed. Gaining control of the spire allowed Teresa to see the truth. Nearing the spire, the two come to a colorless gate. Teresa admits to Gabriel that only the two of them can travel to the spire. Saren would be too much for Teresa to transport as her powers are weak. Gabriel angrily begins to deny the entire quest and accuses Teresa of having pre-knowledge of abandoning Saren. Teresa convinces Gabriel by teaching him how all the heroes in the fables have had to make sacrifices, which is why their story endures. Gabriel defeats the remaining creatures and reluctantly agrees, as he says his goodbyes to his horse Saren. Gabriel takes Teresa's hands and the two teleport to the spire.
When they reach the spire, Teresa claims that she has finally found a way to defeat the corruptor. She orders Gabriel to shine the spire's light through her. Once completed, she makes a wish and states that her time in this world is over and that a new age is upon us. She then gives the heart of the spire to Gabriel and vanishes. Gabriel absorbs Teresa's powers into the gauntlets and defeats the corruptor. He then finds Teresa's blindfold in the sand, and it is revealed that Gabriel himself is now blind. And that's all of the canon appearances that we have for Teresa. We've got some trivia that we can go through, and then some comments. I've got a fan theory, but we might save that for another video, as it's quite an in-depth one, and I really want to give it enough time to breathe. So do you want to kick off the trivia?
Yeah, so during the childhood quest in Fable 2, it is Teresa who convinces Rose and the hero to buy the music box, as they otherwise would not have done so. Either Mergo or Teresa must have informed Lucian, who bought the box, as no one else is aware. So as we sort of found out just now, Teresa was sort of pulling the strings of that entire game to cause everything that happened to happen.
Yep, it's 100% Teresa did it. I don't think Mergo did it at all. I think he was having his strings pulled just as much. Lucian's diary refers to dreams of a blind hooded woman. And in Fable 2, one of the books called The Hero of Oakvale talks about the old hero and that his bloodline continued. It predicted that a hero from his bloodline would one day save Albion when they were needed. This clearly refers to Sparrow and is evidence of him or her being related to Teresa.
There is strong evidence implying that Teresa may have served both sides in Fable 2. Teresa admitted to Gabriel that she convinced Lucian to rebuild the Old Kingdom's tattered spire. Teresa could have possibly continued to assist Lucian during his 20 years of rebuilding the spire. This would explain how Lucian knew Rose and Sparrow purchased the music box, how a spire guard found Hammer at the Temple of Light, and why Teresa disappeared shortly before Lucian's arrival on Hero Hill. Lucian also responded that he merely listened when asked by Hammer where Teresa was, though she could have spoken to him through the visions he mentions in his diary.
Based on the facts from Fable the Journey, Teresa has proved to always take advantage of someone's grief. Lucian, Sparrow, Hammer, Logan, Elijah, and Gabriel are examples. This shows how particularly skilled Teresa has become at manipulation.
Yep, there is actually a hero doll of Teresa, which is obviously confirmed as her blood was able to open the stone door when going to meet Raven. So once again, just confirming that she is of the hero bloodline.
Yes. So with the exception of the first game, Fable TLC, and obviously Anniversary, she's voiced by the actress Zoe Wanamaker, who is, I guess, most well known for being on an average comedy, I'd say, called My Family, that has some good moments, and also being Madam, what was her name? The one in Harry Potter, the one that like referees all the Quidditch matches. Can't remember.
Oh, Madam Hooch, I think. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah. So that's her two main roles, but she's also, known for this too. She's the only character to appear in all of the main Fable games and also in A Hero's Tale. And then in the promotional photos of Fable 2, Teresa wore a green oriental-styled hat, a green cloak, and held a butterfly catcher, none of which then appeared in the game, which is a running theme of a lot of Fable 2. But anyway, she also appeared much younger than she was in the finished game.
Yep. It is possible that the opponent player named Teresa in the Fable 2 pub games is intended to be Teresa herself. So once again, there's a chance that you even get to play pub games against her.
I'd say it's more or less guaranteed at this point.
Yeah.
In Fable 2, when travelling to the Chamber of Fate for the first time, if you're badly injured, Teresa will sometimes quote the Guildmaster of the original Fable by saying, "You are badly wounded, consume healing potions or food to heal," which is not really a quote. I mean, it's a similar quote, but it's not the same. I mean, your health is low. Do you have any potions or food? That's the quote. Thank you very much. Anyway, Teresa has proved to use all the hero disciplines. She's used will several times throughout the series, her main use for teleportation. She used strength when she protected Twinblade from a band of brigands. Although her power of skill is difficult to pinpoint, she has the gift of foresight and has also been proven to be a master of manipulation, which could relate to guile and accuracy.
Yep. If the player attacks Teresa in Fable 2, she will sometimes giggle, hum, or growl ferociously, then say, "Your attacks will have no effects. Remember yourself." Scythe says a similar thing to the hero of Oakvale in Snowspire, since both have lived for extremely long periods of time and are apparently invincible even to the strongest heroes. They may have gained immortality in the exact same way. I would say they probably are both immortal in that sense, but maybe not in the exact same way, because the effects of the immortality on Scythe are definitely a lot different to the effects on Teresa.
Yeah, definitely. In Fable 2, if the player uses expressions near her, she will say, "You remind me of someone I knew once long, long ago," which is a possible reference to her brother, the hero of Oakvale.
In Fable 2, the center Shadow Judge in the Shadow Court has the exact copy of Teresa's character model and movement characteristics. The only difference between the two is their voice and appearance, having glowing red eyes and being a transparent, shadowy figure rather than an obvious human like Teresa is. During a February 2020 Twitch livestream by streamer RT Gamecrowd, this similarity was brought up, and a former Lionhead employee under the username LionBum71 in the chat dismissed the reuse of assets as utter laziness. So there's no connection there, it just happens to be the same asset.
Teresa highly resembles Kreia from the role-playing game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords. Both possess similar manipulations during the background of the storyline, and they are both also blind.
In Fable and Fable The Lost Chapters, it is shown and stated through a cutscene that her eyes were cut out by the bandit leader, who was later revealed to be Jack of Blades. In Fable 2, she has blue glowing eyes instead of sockets, as if her eyes were never lost. It is unknown how she got her eyes back, although it is possible that she can see using the will itself, or that she merely has glass eyes of some sort.
And then interestingly enough, in Fable 3, she has the same types of eyes as an evil hero, or just no eyes at all, which are just black sockets.
Teresa is very similar to the mythological Teresias. Outside of having similar names, both are blind seers. They appear only to heroes, and both seem to be entirely immortal.
Mm-hmm. In Fable 3, the player can dig up a portrait of Teresa in Millfields, where the old gypsy camp was in Fable 2.
That's pretty cool. In Fable The Journey, Teresa seems to have a drastic change of attire, her regular hood gaining a more cartoonish style and her eyes covered by a blindfold once again. It also appears her hair has changed, the color black instead of red, and a more open, so it's more like, I don't know what that's actually implying, but I think she has less hair in front of her eyes and sort of less edgy looking. And she looks and appears to be much younger than in the previous games.
Yeah, and I think, again, that is probably more related to the fact that Fable The Journey was aimed at an even younger crowd than the original Fables were.
Yeah.
Her name is derived from the Greek to harvest, which could link to the farm country-like region of Oakvale. The oldie art book, the concept art book in the Fable 2 limited edition guide bundle, has the art director John McCormack quoting the following: "We used a few hooks and links to the original Fable in the sequel. One of the main ones was the use of Teresa, who is the hero's blind sister in the original Fable. She is now a strange, ageless, wandering fortune teller in Albion who acts as the player's guide throughout the game. But there's more to her than a simple tutorial quest-giving device. She has secrets and her motives aren't particularly clear." End quote. So that's really it, I think, for this video. What we'll do in another video on Teresa is go into a fan theory and some of our own theories behind what her role is and everything, and what she is, and I guess fill in some of the blanks. I'm really keen to get stuck into that video and get that one out there as well. But for now, Do you have anything you want to say on that?
No, I think obviously she's a really, really interesting character, and I think we've sort of put all of the written lore into this video, but all of our sort of theories and other things I think we'll put into another video. Teresa definitely has some of the most extensive lore in the entire series. Obviously she appeared in every single main series game. She has light novels basically that have her in it as well. There's so much lore to go off of, so we don't want to cram it all into this video, so we'll leave it here for now, and
she's arguably the most important character in the whole of the Fable universe. So one video alone is not going to be enough, so what we'll do is we'll leave this video here. We'll do a bit more research and come back with a video with some fan theories, some of our own theories, and really delve deeper into what her role most likely is.
Yep, so with that, thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll definitely see you next time on our second video on Teresa.
Her past once again before her, Teresa's memories returned in a blaze of fire. Oakvale was burning. She watched in silence as the bandits tortured her mother, then turned to her with questions of the missing boy. She answered them only with a stare, and so their leader sliced out her eyes. The raiders took the boy's mother and left Teresa alone in the forest. There she crawled for 3 days, blind and desolate, until she was found by bandits. Twinblade and his men. She began a new life of servitude among their clan. But the bandit king sensed her exceptional strength and power of will, and listened as she whispered dark prophetic truths in her sleep. Those who could never accept this small blind girl standing by their master's side did not last long. When they attacked, she killed them without mercy and without emotion. For this was her place in the world now.